Welcome, everyone. Today, our special guest is Stephanie Schull, the founder of the KegellBell. And we will be speaking about unveiling pelvic power and beauty biohacks with KegellBell. As the sexual wellness speaker in our course, we are super happy to have Stephanie joining our podcast. And welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. It is great to be here. I love talking with you guys and working with you all.
Great. So we start with a very short rapid fire with a very quick questions, and you will have to answer yes, no, or very short, just one sentence. First, pelvic health has impact on sexual satisfaction.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Strong pelvic muscles are only important for preventing urinary incontinence.
No.
What is that? Okay, great. Next questions. Only women who give birth need to worry about pelvic health.
No.
Yes.
No.
Right. Kegel exercise are the only way to strengthen the pelvic muscles.
No, I mean,
Yours, right?
I would say yes and no. Strengthen the muscles from many ways, Pilates, yoga, different types of calisthenics, but you're Kegeling from different ways and different angles in so doing. So Kegel is like the larger category, let's say, of toning the muscles, and you can do it in many ways. Or, yeah, so maybe
We'll
that.
speak about it later. So now, and next one. Pelvic floor issues are only affect older women.
Very wrong. Couldn't be more wrong.
Okay, next. Pelvic pain is normal and doesn't need attention.
Wrong.
Next. You can't overtrain pelvic muscles.
Wrong. You can overtrain. You don't want to overtrain. You shouldn't overtrain.
Yes, okay. And we will speak more details later. And next one is pelvic health is solely a physical concern.
No, it's quality of life, it's well-being, it's stress, it's psychology, it's everything. It's fertility, it's mental health, well-being. Yeah.
So what are the other kind of like big misconceptions about pelvic health you can mention?
I think you were getting at it, that people may hear about one reason or one benefit, and they think that represents the entirety. So they'll think pelvic floor health is about bladder leakage, and they don't know about pelvic organ prolapse, dryness, anorgasmia. They may not know about all the other issues. And so they don't realize holistically how it all hangs together. And so that's important, because if they have pelvic muscle weakness, they probably are experiencing difficulty reaching orgasm. They probably are experiencing vaginal dryness. They probably are experiencing some leakage, but they don't know they hang together. So they're seeking solutions separately, which is a waste of time. And they go down these, unproductive paths trying to find a solution to each of them disparately.
Great. So, and we will speak more about that. Now we can go a little bit more into the depths. I would like to start with your introduction and background. Maybe you can tell about yourself and share a little bit about the background and how you became interested in the pelvic health.
Yes. I don't know if it's surprising to hear this, but for decades I was a philosophy professor.
No, when I saw it, it was so interesting.
Does that seem like an odd kind of oblique way to approach it? But to me, it makes perfect sense, because in philosophy, we study a little bit of everything. I did philosophy of logic, philosophy of psychology, philosophy of literature, feminism. So basically, we just jump in, tackle kind of at a meta level, intractable problems. And most importantly, as philosophers, we identify the cultural blind spots, which when it comes to sexuality in most cultures in the world, we've got tons of blind spots because of taboo. And so basically it took an outsider, it seems, I don't know why, it shouldn't have, but here we are, to rethink pelvic floor weights and how we're addressing pelvic muscle weakness. And so it really helped me actually, get to the heart of the matter. And I wasn't kind of struggling with the way doctors struggle with their schedules and having to deal with things. They couldn't think big like that, right?
Yes.
And so took an outsider. So I think that's interesting maybe for your audience when they might be an outsider solving a problem. Sometimes that's your superpower.
Absolutely. So what has inspired you to create the KegellBell, and, how does it address the challenges of women?
I did not know. I mean, you could say I don't have enough girlfriends that gossip with each other. I did not know. Okay, I had 4 sisters. My mother suffered from these problems unbeknownst to me. And that's the taboo nature that makes people ashamed and not talk about it. So when I discovered that, this is crippling some people, right? Like with pelvic mesh surgery. So family member got pelvic mesh surgery. She is forever injured by that surgery. The FDA finally came out against it. And it's illegal now internationally in most places, but there's lots of women walking around suffering because modern medicine gave a mesh to solve a muscle problem, which did not work. And so I was like noodling on that, like, how do we get to this place where an ill-conceived surgery is being promoted that hurts people? That doesn't seem interesting enough to really stop what you're doing and start a new business. But what got me mad and got me fired up was the number of women that suffer from pelvic muscle weakness is around 75%. So 3 out of 4 of us have some symptoms that are impeding the quality of our life. And that's what got me upset and mad and involved. When I found out, because women leak, they weren't dating after a divorce, they weren't, because they have maybe fecal or gas leakage, they're not going into boardroom meetings because they're embarrassed of what may happen. They're not traveling, they're not going exercising, they're embarrassed, they're stressed out, they're spending money. It can be $40,000 to $60,000 in a lifetime on bladder leakage pads. I just thought, we are not doing women any favors by being, ignoring this. And so then as a feminist move, the way I look at it is I went from ivory tower feminism to like an armchair feminism to like on the ground, let's make women's lives better instead of just talking about it.
It looks like pelvic health is like linked to the broader concept of beauty and self-confidence, right? So there is a relationship between strong pelvic muscles, overall body posture, and aesthetics. I personally feel that it's sort of tied up with your abs muscles. Don't you think so?
Yes. That whole inner core that is so foundational to sneezing, coughing, jumping, moving, exercising, and that we mess up in so many ways, like sitting with our legs crossed, which I just did again, even though I know I shouldn't, sitting all day long, wearing high heels, holding in our stomachs because we're told it's beautiful for women to have flat stomachs. All of this is wreaking havoc with the anatomy and the pelvic floor musculature. But when it's right, when it's all connected, that's the part that's kind of woo-woo, that's hard to explain, but maybe it's not hard to explain. When everything's functioning well, you feel radiant, you feel better. I mean, my confidence is through the roof with using KegellBell. And I don't think that's an accident. It's, so many women are separated from that important part of their body through taboo and through culture. KegellBell reconnects them. And when you're one again, when you're whole again, you feel great. I mean, I guess that's not mysterious to understand, but
absolutely true. Like all these muscles, all this posture things, like after the Pilates, like I'm walking like that's true. So like, what is the challenges women face?
I do want to talk about the challenges that we face, but I do want to pause a little bit more on beauty, because I've been thinking a lot about beauty. Like, why did I launch KegellBell in the beauty space with the Indie Beauty Expo many moons ago when I had to find a new path? Because products like mine only exist in sex toy stores, and possibly there's a couple things in the medical community. I didn't feel like either were good places. Like, medical makes it sound like you're broken, there's something wrong with you, when it's really muscles that just need to be strengthened. It's more fitness. And then sex toy is kind of not great for the quality of the products and the quality control, and also availability for women to find them easily. So I went and I thought, this is really about beauty. It's about self-care, feeling good, looking good. Women are taking care of their hair and their makeup and their perfume and looking great. But if they're embarrassed and secretly hiding that they feel like they're a wreck down there, like, all of that gets derailed. And at the end of the day, they lack confidence and they don't feel beautiful. So for me, that was the final piece, like the most intimate piece. And for me, like, actually, I don't want to hurt the beauty industry at all, but if you talk about feeling sexy on a date, I know I can just show up looking however, because I feel really good about my pelvic floor. And I know that's going to be the star of the show for both of us. So I just wanted to go there and say, you feel beautiful.
Very interesting. There's something is frozen right now.
Probably the sensors. You feel good.
Yes.
Okay.
So now let's talk about the lifestyle. I like to incorporate all kinds of like healthy habits and good things, which is good for me for daily routines. How we can incorporate KegellBells into the daily routines.
It's a biohack. I always saw it as a biohack. I almost called the company with the word hack in it. But then hack sounds so negative in English in another way that I abandoned that. But that's how I actually see it. And basically, when you start with something like KegellBell, any exercise routine where you're building muscle, You do it like every other day, let's say 3 times a week for just 5 minutes. You really treat it like you would your bicep or any other body part. Then, when you're happy with your muscle strength, you can reduce it down to like once a week or once every 2 weeks. And the reason why I want to start out about that is doctors prescribe women to do Kegel exercise 3 times a day, every day for the rest of their lives. So when you talk about time and biohacks, I think saving time is essential. And by the way, you'll get stronger with weight than you will with isometric exercise alone, which is Kegling. So we've saved women time, but now, I still get the feedback. I forget to use it. I forget to do it. And it only works if you use it. So we need them to remember. Well, the way I see it is it's pleasurable, but it's private. So chances are you're going to use it in the bathroom or the bedroom.
Yes.
Now, how can we hook it into a habit? Well, we have a shower holder because people shower maybe 1 to 2 or 3 times a week.
Wow.
It's there to remind you, and it's easy to use in the shower, and it's easy to clean up. So that's a logical place to do it. And you can do it while, you have a hair mask on or you're shaving your legs. That's all fine. It's just 5 minutes that you need to do it. Also do it in the bedroom and privately. This is not something you wear in public and walk around with. Because it's kind of a warm-up. I mean, KegellBell is pleasurable. If you feel any pain, you need to stop using it and see a doctor. Something else is going on. And it's good that you know now that something else is going on. But it should be pleasurable, and therefore it's kind of a nice warm-up to solo play or partner play. And that's a good little reminder. You can get your partner to remind you and help out. That's nice.
Now let's talk about some science, like is there some insight into the scientific medical research that supports the effectiveness of KegellBell? Have you seen anything like that?
So when I started out in the archives, in the research, in the medical journals, when I was trying to figure out why we've let women down. If Kegels solve the problem, which we know they do from medical research, why are 75% of women walking around with a problem? Well, I can tell you how to Kegel in a minute. So what's the disconnect? So there's lots of studies on the fact that 75% of women can't Kegel properly even after a doctor describes it to them. There's lots of studies on pelvic floor health and pelvic floor exercise. In there were vaginal weights. Looked like the heroes. Couldn't figure out only vaginal weights were poorly designed ones in sex toys, So it's like, okay, how do we improve on vaginal weights? So I reversed from the medical research where they talked about what were the limitations of vaginal weights, improved upon it. And so thus KegellBell was born, FDA registered medical device with all of the quality assurance therein. And what it is different than everything that is before it is we put the weight outside of the body. Sounds trivial.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't be a greater difference because Kegel weights before KegellBell were like a cork in a bottle. They just stick like a various shaped, insultingly various shaped. Like some of them are shaped like cherries and made of junk material that they are then supposed to put in their body. And then they have dubious instructions to wear those for hours. Do not do that. You will get yourself pelvic pain. You will get yourself to the physical therapist if you do that. You do not keep a muscle cramped for hours. That is dumb. But that is yet what women are being told to do. But what women were saying is that it's too big and bulky and too lightweight to really do anything. Okay, well, how do we solve for that? How do I make the insert small? Well, I can't make it heavier and make it smaller at the same time. I can make it really small if I put the weight outside the body. And so we can make it as heavy as we want by doing that. And that now makes for small insert, heavy weight. And the extra bonus that people weren't seeing is, see how it moves a little bit?
Yeah.
That vibrates and moves this. So you get the fast twitch muscle response in addition to the long endurance muscle. So you get slow twitch, fast twitch, and you get a dynamic workout. These little movements do a 2x, 3x. And so this design change, this reverse engineering from what was bad to designing something that addresses those pain points resulted in, a patent and the device that you see. So I would encourage people to pay attention to what's out there, what the complaints are, and you pretty much have the drawing board of what you need to make.
We women have like different bodies and different sort of sizes and tell us a little bit of like success stories.
Yes, we are different. And so therefore, for that reason, I designed this system to have 2 sizes of inserts when you buy it. Slightly larger one, a slightly smaller one. The larger one's easier.
Oh, really?
Smaller one's harder. Yeah. This can be because of pregnancy. They may need to start out with the larger one and labor and delivery, or it could be body size, right? But you graduate up to the smaller one. And in fact, one of our investors, she's 45 at the time when she invested. She had a son who was now 20 something. She said when using KegellBell, she had to get a smaller menstrual cup. So it did change, as well as it changed her orgasm function. So yeah, that's probably why she invested. But so yes, you can go from bigger to smaller because you've trained the muscles, right? And then we offer 3 weights that'll give her 16 training combinations so that she may start here, someone else may start here.
Okay.
And therefore when they can, and then, time of the month, you may use less weight, but with 16 combinations, 30 grams, you can increment either way. And so, yes, we customize in that way. But I think there was another question that you asked about.
Success stories, maybe.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. On my website, any women you see, even if they're models, like professional models, they are happy KegellBell customers. I refuse to have a stock image of anyone who's not actually a customer. And sometimes we get critiqued, actually, that our models are KegellBell customer models, testimonials are too young. But I should put their ages there. We're like 50s and 60s. We just look 40s and 30s. There's something about, the rejuvenation of being not stressed out, happy and healthy with that part of the body and having a good sex life. So success stories come in. Here's a surprising thing you hear about the success stories. And I even incorporate it into our literature. Women start to see results in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That seems impossible. Like a problem that's been there for 10 years. How do they go away in 2 weeks? And it's just the muscle. I mean, this is just a dumbbell weight set. This is dumb. What is smart are your muscles. And your muscles are ready to wake up and do their job. They've just been waiting for you. They're like, pay attention to us. Don't ignore us. We're here. Mind, body, connect. Even though you disconnected when you were 5 because your parents told you don't look, don't touch. Reconnect. Strengthen those muscles. We're going to be there for you. In 2 weeks, women will say, they bulk up the muscle just enough that it stops the leakage. Or their orgasms are immediately responsive. And so I get a lot of very thrilled, lots of exclamation points, emoji responses. And so we say, do the 2-week test. And that's what I like about KegellBell. It's a diagnostic test as well as the treatment, as well as prevention. So it's all 3. You take it, and if you have pain, you've got a special problem. You need to go to the doctor, right? Okay. Although there is some cases of someone who had pelvic pain who used this to train their body to relax the muscles. And she did a beautiful video about it on YouTube. But she's a beauty influencer, by the way, who did that, a young woman, very brave. But it's diagnostic in that if you use it for 2 weeks and you don't notice a change in your symptoms, pelvic muscle weakness is not your problem. Mm-hmm. I love that it's diagnostic because then they get their money back. So I help women with a test that's essentially free. And I love that for them because I care. I come from philosophy. I care. And secondly, it will treat the problems. And then thirdly, it prevents. So I just got from a woman who said, I bought KegellBell early on, back in 2019 when we started. She said, it helped me with my bladder leakage problem. Thank you. She said, but then I stopped using it. And now I just got some prolapse. I should have used it for prevention, but when I solved the problem, I stopped using it. And I hear women say, solve my leakage. I stopped using it. I started using it again. It solved my leakage again. And, that's a way of reminding yourself, but best not to get in that situation because things like prolapse are happening silently. Prolapse is where like the bladder, the uterus, or the rectum starts to fall because the muscles aren't holding it up. And you may not know that you need to be using it preventatively because that's a silent symptom until it's too late. That makes sense. So yeah, and preventive is you use it once a week or once every 2 weeks in your shower so that as you go through the stages of life and you hit menopause, it really hits the pelvic muscles hard, right? Whenever you hit another stage, your muscles are ready and you're not playing catch up. You don't want to play catch up.
Yes, I'm surprised. I absolutely agree with you that it was not like we don't have these kind of problems, women. We just were afraid for many years to talk about it, and this is why this kind of problem was hidden for so long time. And yes, the device you have seems so logical and so well thought of actually. In the way how it's designed, and I also like that it's like you go to the gym, you don't over time doing the same weight. You want to progress. You sort of like there is an opportunity to add some weights or something like that. And the education must be really very big, important part in your business, right?
It's tough. I mean, we have obstacles. Everyone has obstacles in the marketplace. It's hard to have a beauty product, and get attention. But I'm blocked constantly on Facebook, Google ads, you name it. I try to have a TikTok live. I say female sexual dysfunction. Bam, I'm thrown out immediately and banned for 24 hours with the threat that I'll be permanently removed for saying female sexual dysfunction. So the obstacles are great in trying to have the conversation. And that for that reason, we should be like word of mouth. And I need to figure out how to, help that along, because same problem. People might be shy.
Yes.
To share it word of mouth.
Okay, let me tell you, like shy, speaking about shy, I always wanted to try this kind of, I also always realized that I probably benefit, if I try this product, and I have been aware that it is important muscles to train. And there are some even ways where they say that you sit in the car, you can already like stretch your muscles and things like that. But like if you don't have the tangible thing and you don't have routine, this is not something you will do. And I think that the physical product really helped to incorporate it in routine, and you have been designed it so smartly, to give suggestions how to design it. And it's such an easy, natural product to use. There is no really like if you don't overtrain, let's say, there is no side effects or something like that. It's
not overtrained, but other than that, you're right.
It's quite sustainable, right? Because you don't really need to have like a different one every day. And it's making so much sense, like I'm going online right now. I have to tell you, I have not yet, tried it because I was a little bit sort of shy, it's a shyness or think like, okay, I don't know. I know it's good, but, I don't know how to say it.
I appreciate this is like customer discovery. Why is someone on the fence and not purchasing? My mantra is I want to see KegellBell beside every woman's toothbrush in her bathroom in the world. It should be part of like that routine, that level of routine, because it's prevention as well as treatment. But here's a thought that I maybe need to discuss more, but it sounds like scare tactics. But, a famous urologist who I admire, who was early on an advisor to KegellBell, just did a post on this. And she was saying, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Now, we don't just mean with respect to a sexual partner. We mean with respect to your own health. What can happen with the vagina post-menopause? If there isn't regular penetration of some sort, the tissues start to fuse, they atrophy, the walls thin, and it starts to close off. And that's not a nice process. It irritation and discomfort and all of that. And then, late in life, people aren't always expecting the next chapter. So I do hear from women who are saying, can they, use this to retrain the tissues and get this back in order again? So I would say preventatively, especially post-menopause, we need to have something in there like once a week to keep that blood flow and to keep it going. And it doesn't mean like we want to necessarily have sex with a partner at all. And this is what can keep you healthy. And I think that might help, but I don't know if that helps to hear or not. Or maybe it helps to hear about if you start wearing bladder leakage pads. Maybe you have the money to pay for all that and that doesn't bother you. They're very expensive, by the way. But environmentally, we did a study. And if you start wearing them after your first baby, let's say in your 20s, if you have children, and you progressively need more of them in your 90s, because we're living to 90 and 100, yay, you're going to use 5 tons of single plastic waste just for the leakage pads. And this is a crisis in Japan right now where, their legislative bodies are looking at how much diaper waste they are producing with adult incontinence, especially as they're an aging population. So there's this huge environmental piece that's not even being discussed. But for me, it's like, I just need women not to be stressed out, to be doing the things they love. Like what I hear from people that breaks my heart is,
it's 19 hours.
I don't travel anymore. I stopped traveling because I had to find bathrooms. I don't spend the night when dating. I don't know when I'm going to tell him about my problems. That kind of thing makes me so stressed out for them that I just want to make sure that I educate properly so it is an easy decision. And I feel like I'm failing to articulate that. And I'm sure there's marketers in the audience who are like, I know how to do that. I try to make it affordable. This is a durable device. It It is a diagnostic, a prevention, and a treatment. Try it for 2 weeks, money back guarantee. Because again, I want women not to be hesitant. I was told you don't do that with medical devices. I'm like, look, they're sent back to me. I throw them in the trash can, but I want women to feel safe that they can try it. And I guess that's what separates me from other capitalists, where I'm more like maybe thinking from like an academic nonprofit status, but I just want women to feel safe trying it. So I need to do a better job of making sure they realize that they can.
I think you've done a good job. It's just like there are sometimes also social media, as you mentioned, does not help because there's a lot of marketing going through social media these days, right? And I'm actually going to post another sexual wellness post this Saturday. And I've been doing some research. There are so many words which is related to women, prohibited actually to mention it. And many of them are just like normal anatomical parts or something like that. There is nothing really like vulgar in it and things like that. So I think there is a lot of work still need to be done in marketing. And, there are some ways probably to go about it, educating the consumers, because I think it is just a subject which people a little bit shy to talk about. But it is incredible how important it is for women's health, and we need to realize it. And we need to be selfish and think about our health. I'm super happy to add another biohack, because I have a certain hacks at my house, and I have certain places where I can put them there, and I'm using them in these particular places. And as long as you can integrate it in your daily routine, I think it will be definitely very beneficial product, and I encourage everyone to try it on. And just let's finish it on some interesting, tell me, what is the future? What do you see in the future? As you say that every woman should have it next to the toothbrush, right? So how you see the best way to integrate?
The future is, well, we have this beautiful design that when people experience it, they say, oh, this is like the iPhone of, Kegel weights. Like, it's beautifully designed in Germany, and we're very proud of it, and it's elegant and it's useful. However, it's heavy to ship and it's expensive to make. It's a medical device. It's very expensive to make. My markup is probably too low. So that's hard for me to sustain as a business, but $100 is still too expensive to the majority of women in the world. Okay. So I have now created a way in which I can make it cheaper to make, cheaper to ship, lighter to ship. And now this is opening up to women who need help in India, women who need help in Africa, women who need help in Latin America. And let's keep in mind, culturally, as in the United States, we're very diverse culturally. But this is about women's safety and prosperity. What do I mean? If a woman has laxity after childbirth, I'm told from women from certain Latin American countries, their husbands can be very mean and leave them. This is dangerous for their health and well-being for themselves and their children. I've heard people in India tell stories that, the mother-in-law will get involved with beating the wife when she has bladder leakage. So these women suffer in various degrees if they don't have understanding families, or they have arranged marriages, or even if there is an arranged marriage, maybe someone feels pressure to be in that situation and show up in a certain way. So I look at it as like a safety issue as well as a health issue, because women are in such untenable situations. And while I can't change that, I wish I could wave a magic wand and give them understanding families and understanding partners and husbands. I can at least help get their body in a place to where it will not set them up for failure in their life. So
you have a great purpose with your brand, and I think you are killing it, actually. I think your brand is very well known, and I hope there is more women who will listen to this podcast to realize how important it is to take care of ourselves and our health.
Thank you for spreading the word, because it really comes down to that. Since I'm blocked on social media so much, it really comes down to people telling people. And I love that you're so internationally connected, because it's such an international issue. And I loved it when I was in Dubai, and the women there, I thought, oh no, I'm with the royal family, I'm going to mention vaginas, this might be illegal. Couldn't be more wrong. The women there were gracious and lovely and understood it. What I heard was, I need to get 10 of these for me and my sisters. I mean, they understood their intimate health in a way that, Americans don't. So it's just beautiful to travel and be there around internationally and see the different needs and the different interests and understandings. I'd love to do a documentary where we go around the world talking to women about it, but talking with you is like getting a little glimpse into the world.
Yes, let's do it. And yes, where people can find you on the website, right? What is the
Yeah, we're KegellBell or KegellBell, however you want to say it. It's legitimate both ways, but KegellBell, not ball. And that's on all social by that, .com. You can also find us on Costco.com. And so that's another way to find KegellBell and try it.
Amazing.
Because Costco has really great shipping and return policy.
Amazing. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. We have like 2 minutes left, and we will close the